is one of my most favorite horror franchises. Ever since it came out 10 years ago, it has revolutionized gaming as a whole. It spawned a new genre of horror games that, like them or not, have become very popular. Now, you read the title and saw the thumbnail of this video, so you may be asking, why am I starting a Bendy video with FNAF? Well, if FNAF has done anything for the world, it's inspired people to make games based off already existing characters and settings. Fan games! To be more specific, FNAF fan games. Now, almost every YouTuber has covered a FNAF fan game at some point. But, one thing I don't often see being discussed a lot is Bendy fan games. The only Bendy fan game that comes to memory is the one with the fat boars that got taken down a long time ago. So, one day, I decided that instead of clicking that FNAF Game Jolt tab, I clicked the Bendy one instead. And that's when I knew I had to play these games. Also, before we begin, I originally was going to play every single one of these games. However, this video is very long already, and it turns out there are more Bendy fan games than I thought. So I ended up just picking ones that look the most interesting. The ones I picked are games on your PC. They have to be their own standalone game. So, sorry Bendy X Stock Deception, not today. So, without further ado, let's begin. The first game we're going to be taking a look at is Forgotten Stories by Nikos Games and Lost Paw Play. Fun fact, Lost Paw Play is the same person who made the fan-made FNAF Plus. So, this will be fun. Looking at the game page, you can see that this was released 4 years ago, and this is version 5.0.0. So, let's begin. Right off the bat, you'll immediately notice the difference in art styles compared to the mainline series. Instead of the bright yellow sketches on walls, we have gloomy blue realistic looking environments. Overall, compared to the original game, the overall art style of the game feels kinda dull. I get that's probably what they were going for, but I can't help but easily get lost in this giant maze. But visuals aside, what's the gameplay like? It's the same thing as Bendy and the Ink Machine. You walk around solving puzzles and occasionally getting chased. Yeah, I think you're gonna notice with these games is that they're extremely similar to the first game. Mainly because these games all came out before Bendy and the Dark Revival. So the improvements in stealth, movement, puzzles, combat, and horror that game made are not here. Also, just as a quick note, out of all the games I played, only 2 of them actually feature any combat. Sure, there's elements of combat in the other games, but there's no actual fighting in these games, as far as I could tell. There are no enemies except for Bendy, with one exception. We'll get to it later. Speaking of which... yeah, in this game, Bendy just randomly shows up to start chasing you. It just sort of happens. No build-up or introduction, just BAM! And he also, after this point, just starts wandering around the hallways, just roaming. I kept dying over and over to him, which is what led me to sort of stop playing, because at that point, I was getting absolutely nowhere. Speaking of going nowhere, the story. The story of the game is simple. You're a dude.
Моя голова. Что произошло? Где я?
Who doesn't speak English, apparently, in an old mansion? Warehouse? Museum? It's confusing. You're essentially exploring this spooky, abandoned place trying to solve puzzles and... is that my face? Regardless, there's not much to say about this considering how small it is and how little I played. There's a time machine and weeping angels that ended up actually scaring me. And also, out of all these posters that are constantly being used, there's this one that looks like a DeviantArt post. So, that's all I have to say about this game. The next game we'll be playing is Final Hours by Toxic Tentacle Games. Looking at the Game Jolt page, this looks pretty polished. Reading the description, it says, created by Zomlord and Mike the Creator. Robert wakes up in an ink vortex and has no idea how he got there. In this fan game, you will explore new parts of the studio and discover many dark secrets. So now, let's look at the actual game itself. Starting off, we actually have settings in the menu. Let's check those out. Okay, so there's mouse sensitivity, volume, and graphics. Well, I'm not really going to adjust much, so I'll leave it as is. Alright, let's start it up. And... I think I need to go to the bathroom. So holding your piss aside, the movement in this game feels really weird. The cursor is gigantic and your jump is really floaty. And also, you're super slow even while sprinting. Interacting with doors is weird because you can't just press E on them. You have to press E on the right spot in order for it to open. But regardless, I will say that this game is gorgeous. Although it uses music, sound effects, and textures from the original game, it makes up with it with the lighting and the overall way it's all put together. That being said though, besides the presentation, there's not too much going on here. It's mainly just a walking simulator with a few button presses here and there. And man, do I wish I changed my settings earlier. Overall, pretty good looking game that reuses and makes new ideas that fit within the style pretty well. The next game I played was The Dark Puddles by ST Studios. This one is real mature. It says right here. Looking at the game page, we can see something really promising here. The description reads, explore a terrifying world full of living nightmares. In The Dark Puddles, you play as Henry, who wakes up in an abandoned workshop with no memories of his past. As he explores the eerie studio, he soon discovers that a monster called the Ink Demon has taken over the studio, created a twisted kingdom with... This is just the first game again. I'm recording this right now. I'm reading this. This is just the first game again. This is the exact same story as the first game. I'm reading this right now. I'm recording this line right now. And I just realized this. This is not in the script. I am realizing right now, the story this game wants to tell is the same one as the first game. Literally. So, when we launch the game, unlike the last two games, there is no menu. It just starts up. So, what you'll notice, it doesn't look like anything the screenshots show. That's because this is a very old build of the game. So, that's what we're playing. I'm sure the game is a more decent state, but this build right here is pretty sloppy. Hey look, a build on machine reference. But anyways, just like the last game, you're about to piss your pants. However, this time, you can walk a little faster. And you can crouch now. However, jumping still feels jank, and I can barely get out of the sink. And unlike the last game, there is barely any sound effects. Not much to say on this one, because it's another demo, so moving on, I guess. The fourth game I played was Into the Deep by the Crypt. And let me tell you, this was the first of these games that I did not like. Looking at the Game Jolt page, it certainly looks like a polished experience, but oh boy. Let me tell ya, it is anything but what you think. This game is not very good at all. There's 2 chapters so far, and I could only suffer through 1.5. You're about to see why. So, booting it up, we get a title screen. We can see here they plan to add 4 chapters. Only 1 is available. The other is locked, and the rest are unavailable. So, here we get an intro screen that tells us that Joey Drew Studios has gone bankrupt, and we appear to be a detective roaming the studio. Don't worry about this notepad, it's not actually used for anything. Speaking of which, you might notice something's wrong with this image. Can you tell me? I'll give you 10 seconds. Time's up. The correct answer is the FOV is way too small. You may think this is a small issue, but after a while, it became disorienting. I had to lean back so I can get some breathing room. In fact, for your convenience, I'm gonna minimize the screen here. So yeah, there you go. But just know, I was playing not like this. This is more comfortable than what I was playing in. But hey, you know what's worse? In this game, you actually move fast, which is a problem if you're backtracking and solving puzzles, because 7 out of 10 times, you'll miss what you're looking for.
Oh, an elevator. I guess not.
couldn't even see the fucking sign. And let's talk about the puzzle in this game. Inconsistent at best. One puzzle has you turning a valve, the next has you finding a lever, the next has you looking in a box. It switches up the puzzle mechanics every 5 minutes, so you're always confused on how to solve the puzzle because it's not a consistent solution.
It's very monotonous, and for employees from the upper floors, it is. But people like me have to rush back and forth in an attempt to keep all the shoddy equipment in at least some acceptable condition. For example,
Hey game devs, ever heard of a low pass? You use it to make your audio not spike up so much. Hell, I use it all the time because of my shrill voice. In this section, after you find the item you need, this door will start banging. It's Bendy! How do I know? Because I was able to clip through the ceiling and see him. After that, he starts showing up. And in this game, he doesn't chase you. No. In this game, he's SCP-096. You can't look at him or he kills you. And you better make sure your cursor doesn't even tap his toe. Otherwise, it's game over. He kills you instantly. After this, the room floods and we're supposed to run or we'll drown. But I just stood still and I didn't drown. Very immersive. We also got this wrench for combat. I mainly just hit a wall and all at the particle effects. And then we're in chapter 2. And this is where I stopped playing because I got stuck in a puzzle where I had to guess the correct order of pipe, but no matter what I did, I couldn't solve it and I was trapped. Bye-bye. I found out how to glitch this box, now I'm a surfer. Overall, out of all the games I've talked about, this one is pretty bad. But trust me when I tell you, we're gonna see worse. But right now, we're gonna see better. The next game we'll be taking a look at is Bendy and the Map Maker, made by Soundlord. This game slaps. It's actually a pretty good map maker. You have essentially all of the Bendy assets here. You can choose walls, props, floors, lights, doors, and more. The way you actually place these objects is really simple and pretty easy to use. I had fun placing down stuff and seeing it all come together. For some time in practice, you could actually make some really cool maps. Now, this game isn't without its flaws, but it more than makes up with them in my book. And you can also save and build the map, so community, am I right? I would heavily recommend this game, as I enjoyed my short time with it. This is the only fan game that made me feel happy to play it. Now though, it's time to talk about the worst game I played for this video. Bendy and the Ink Reboot by Gadiyuk Entertainment. The description reads, Bendy and the Ink Reboot is a fan-made game made on the Unity engine in the survival horror genre with puzzle treasures based on the franchise Bendy and the Ink Machine. You are playing as the Ink Demon. You have no achievement. Walk around your studies in search of the lost souls who have thrown down challenges. Loading in, you play as Ink Bendy and you walk around. And that's it. There's nothing else here. This is the worst one yet, honestly. This is legitimately a mobile game. And there are actual Bendy fan-made mobile games on Game Jolt. And this is honestly the worst one. Don't play it. The final game we're gonna be taking a look at is Henry's Son by Oski29. Looking at the game page, we can see, unlike the other games, this is a full experience. The game has 5 chapters and even DLC. It's easily the biggest game I had to download for this video. Reading the game's description, Henry's Son is a first-person Bendy fan game. You play as David, who wants to rescue his father, Henry Stein. You will have to solve many types of puzzles, meet few allies, fight with enemies, and hide when needed. Always remember about the Ink Demon who stalks your every move. Will you be able to save Henry? This game already has more story than the other games combined. But, that being said, let's actually talk about the game itself. It has everything you would expect from a game like this on a menu screen. New game, continue, extras, credits, even achievements. Clicking new game, we load into chapter 1, where we fall down a pit before grabbing onto a pipe. We are now Henry's son. wandering through the studio. So first off, the presentation in this game is pretty great. The developer has gone through the effort of drawing every texture by hand. Everything looks so damp and muddy, which looks amazing paired with the lighting. You'll also notice that it's a lot darker than the other games, which is why we now have to use a flashlight just to see. And wandering through these dark halls is genuinely creepy. They really do like the Bendy cutout jump scares, don't they? Alright, now let's talk about gameplay. So, first things first, this game nails the speed. The walk speed isn't too slow, and the sprint isn't overly fast. And the FOV is just right. As you can see, the main thing you're going to be doing in this game is solving puzzles. However, there's actually 2 puzzles in one room. There's the main puzzle and an optional side puzzle that you can only solve if you pay attention. And these puzzles are actually satisfying to solve. And I finally get to talk about combat for one of these games. It's the same as the original Bendy. Not much to say, but at least I get to say something. Now, the game does have a few issues. Mainly, puzzles only happen if a trigger is activated, making replays frustrating as you know what you have to do, but the game just won't let you. The game isn't really scary, just more eerie than anything else. The character models are pretty goofy and have really jank animations, and the overall size of the rooms is kind of a hindrance. But overall, I can look past these things because I just see the passion behind this game, and I can't help but love it. I didn't get to play the full 5 chapters or the DLC, but it's something I would like to do, maybe on a future stream. Overall, out of all the games I played today, this is the one I really recommend if you want something as close to the original Bendy game, while still being unique, of course. And that is it. Those are all the Bendy and Ink Machine fan games I played. Let me tell you, there are so many Game Jolt pages for Bendy fan games that are still in development, that don't have a public build-out. And honestly, I don't blame them. The Bendy team notoriously does not like people making fan games about Bendy. So it's lucky that these games are still around at all, and that they're actually playable. If you want to check out these games, I put all the links in the description. I may have bashed the hell out of some of these games, but I get why most of them are like this. These games are most likely young devs making their first big game, and honestly I can't be mad at them. But anyways, I've been the non-fictional explainer. Thanks for watching, and happy Halloween! Man, this video is so long.